In today's lesson, we're going to be multiplying fractions using partial products. Partial products can be used when it's easy to multiply a whole number by a mixed fraction, and more specifically, it's easy to multiply that whole number by the fraction part of a mixed fraction. So for example, if we take a look at this, 4 times 3.5, so we're multiplying a whole number by a mixed number, and if we focus in on the whole number part and the fractional part, is it easy to take half of 4? Yeah, it is. And half of 4 is what? 2. So because that's an easy thing that we can think of, this would be a good candidate for using the partial product strategy. So just for clarity here, it has to be a whole number times a mixed number, and it has to be a nice little fit here. So if I had a question like this, 7 over 8 times 2 over 3, first of all, there's no whole number here, and second of all, there's no mixed number here. So in this particular question, we could not use partial products. Partial products is when we multiply a whole number by a mixed number, and there's a nice little synergy there. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply. 2 times 4.5. So what we do is we take the 2 and we multiply it by each of the pieces separately. So 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times a half, so what's half of 2? 1. And then we add those together and we get 9. And we're done. Now, 6 times 5 1/3. So 6 times 5, what's that? 30. And then it goes 6 times 1/3. What's the third of 6? Sorry? 2. So then we add these together and we get 32. If you're unsure of why a third of 6 is 2, think of it this way. Think of it as having 6 marbles, and you want to divide them into, well, you're multiplying by a third. Multiplying by a third is the same thing as dividing by 3. So you want to make these into 3 equal groups. Well, if I make a group of 2, another group of 2, and another group of 2, I get 3 groups of 2. So 2 is a third of 6. Now, let's try another one. 3 3/4 times 8. So 3 times 8, what's that? 24. And now, then what we do is 3/4 times 8. What's that? And again, I guess the best way of me thinking of how, if you're not sure how we get that, here's another way of doing it. Again, 3/4 of 8. So let's draw our 8 marbles. And we want to figure out what 3/4 of 8 is. So what we could do is we could take 3/4 and we could make it out of 8. So 3/4 is what out of 8?
6.
What's that?
6.
6, right. So that's why it's 6. Okay? Now, so then we write 6, and then we add these together, and we get what?
30.
30. All right, one last one for us to do. 2.5 times 15. So I'm gonna write the 15 first. 15 times 2. What's 15 times 2? 30. And then 15 times a half. It's a little trickier. Okay, but we're talking about fractions, so we're not going to say 7.5. 7.5, that's better, good. Okay, so it's 7.5, half of 15 is 7.5, then we add these together and we get what?
37
Sorry?
37 and a half.
Great, 37.5, and there's our answer.